Hey y'all, it has been a while. And a while, I mean like 3 days, I think. Last time I posted on here was Sunday morning. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday. So about 4 days, yeah. So that's probably the longest I've gone without posting since I basically started this page. It's crazy, right? So I got a lot to catch y'all up on. But first I just want to say next week, next Thursday, I have next Thursday, my next class, my next mini course on nutrition. What we're gonna be covering, I basically called it what's it called? Demystifying the diet. And so basically, we're just gonna take a closer look at different like popular diets that are out now, and just see what they're about. What the restrictions. What can you eat, what can't you eat, and like what kind of effects it may have on you or whatever. Basically taking like a closer look into it. So basically, if you were interested in different diets but weren't really sure, you know which one to do because there's so many out there. And you hear so much stuff. This is time just to get just the straight up information. Then also just my own personal opinion about it. What do I think? You can hear like, what do I think about it? Do I think it's sustainable? Because the thing is, it's like, a diet might help you lose like a whole bunch of weight. It might help you lose a whole bunch of weight really quickly. But is it sustainable? Like, is it something you actually be able to do? Is it something actually you be able to accomplish? And so we'll be looking into that basically. So that will be next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. I'll go live, do a class like I've done. I've done two classes. I did 2 classes last month, so it'll be another class like that. So, where have I been? Actually, I haven't been anywhere. I've been right here, hanging out at the house, at work, at church, that kind of stuff. But I really feel like, I guess I'll just tell you the story. I can't really put it into words. But so, a couple of weeks ago, I guess more so at the beginning of the year, so it's been a couple of weeks now. I was telling you guys about how God was just really kind of revealing to me that, basically, let me back up. My mentor told me that one thing I should probably really, focus on is just on identity, because I was dealing with rejection and avoidance. So and more so avoidance more than anything. And so just to get to like the root of all that kind of stuff, well, the root of avoidance, at least particularly for me, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but for me, it was just from fear. And so, and of course, we know that, fear is not of God, but from the enemy, because God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So then that means that fear is from the enemy. So one way to combat that is just like being firm in my identity. So knowing who I am, like who God created me to be and why am I here. And so like I was really like focused on that area at the beginning of the year. So, I was telling you guys how like basically God was just reminding me or letting me know if I didn't know for real that that He loved me and that He like the reason why we were created because God loved us. God had so much love and had so much love and wanted to show so much love that He created us. That's literally the reason why He created us. Like I was created because God loved me. So yeah, we was like I was telling you guys about that for like it was a good little minute. It was a couple of videos I feel like I was kind of like on like really heavily in that part. And so, but then I was like, okay, I think I'm good. Like I'm good on that now. Like I get it. Like I got it. Like we're set on that. So like I felt like I was really in a good place with the whole identity stuff. And so then I was just out here living my life, as we do. And so but I'm still always like trying to improve, trying to like get closer to God, get closer to what God has intended me to be, the woman of God that God has created me to be, intended me to be, planned for me to be. I'm always striving to get closer and closer to that. So I'm always open to like, okay, this is something else you might need to work on, or like basically my prayer is like, Holy Spirit, reveal to me anything that's in me that's not of you, that's not like you, that's not of you, that wasn't sent from you, that wasn't placed in me by you. Reveal it to me so that I can, do whatever it takes to get rid of it or change the mind frame or whatever needs to be done can be done so that I'm just a little bit closer. Like, of course, we're not going to reach perfection, but like progress is literally what, I'm striving for. And so I'll just, open to it or whatever. And so on this whole thing of avoidance, I really saw how in like very specific instances where it was like, okay, I'm doing it. And basically for me, avoidance kind of looks like, particularly let's say like there's a difficult conversation or I'm upset about something. A lot of times I would just not say anything. Like, and it could be a small issue or whatever. I just won't say anything. Like, you know what, it doesn't even matter. Like, I'll reason my way, like, to myself out of actually confronting the person or telling the person how I feel or whatever. And so then what ends up happening is, like, I'll let that one thing go, or at least I'll say I let the one thing go, but not really. And so then I would, hold on to things. I would bottle up things. I'll hold things up. And then next thing you know, it's like, it'll be like months later. And like, I bottled up so much stuff that all of a sudden I just explode. Like, then it's just like, and like everything that I was holding in all this time ends up being released all at once. And like, that's not fair. That's not cool. That's not a cool thing to do to someone. And so like, me working on this whole avoidance thing has kind of been like, okay, I need to recognize, okay, you're upset. Like, just recognize it. Like, you're upset. Don't try to like, oh, well, this, oh, well, this. Because then sometimes I'll try to talk myself out of it. Like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm good. But you're not good. You feel some type of way right now. And so then what I would do, so usually that's when I would, like reason my way out of it. But I was like, you know what, let me actually have these difficult conversations. So at least when, like, if I start small, I will be able to, prevent this whole big blow up later down the line. And so it was a situation that came up. It wasn't a big situation. I was like, you know what, instead of not saying like, but like, the thing was, it wasn't a big situation, but I was upset. I was like frustrated about the situation or whatever. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to tell the person. I'm going to tell the person I'm upset about this, and I'm like frustrated because of this. And so that was like me making steps towards this whole, trying to come back to this whole avoidance thing. And so that was like this past weekend, I guess that conversation kind of happened. And so, but like, we didn't talk about it, just told them, and then we was gonna have a conversation later about it. And so for like me, I'm like the type, like, I try to like predict almost, or at least plan, let's say plan, like what the other person might say if I present them with something. This is part of what I do when I'm avoiding the conversation. I'll think about, okay, they're probably gonna say this and this and this, and because it's usually an adverse thing, they're gonna say it's not gonna be. It's never anything happy. It's never anything joyous. Like, oh, Lonnie, we just love you and we're gonna give you stuff. It's never that. It's always like, oh, they're mad. There's like always a side that I never account for, or whatever, and they'll be mad at something or whatever. And so I was doing that in this situation. I was like, I feel like in this particular case where it's like, there was nothing else for me. Like, this is probably the first time where this situation was exactly as it presented itself. It wasn't anything more to it. And so anyway, so we had a conversation about it the next day or whatever. And then, of course, it ended up being all this other stuff that came up that was just like, I did not plan for this, right? And so it's like, part of me was like, I guess had I not, like, if I wasn't actually actively like trying to overcome this whole avoidance thing, if I hadn't like asked the Holy Spirit to reveal this to me, help me like with this, that would have been a situation where I would probably completely shut down, And so yeah, it wasn't a great conversation and didn't necessarily end well either, but at least I could say that, hey, I did have the conversation. And that's like a big step for me, because usually I wouldn't have said anything in the first place. And it wasn't to the point where it was a turn where I wouldn't have never, like, where I would have went back to my old ways. So that was something that I thought was interesting. But it's kind of crazy, kind of on that same line. One of the things that I was told was just that I was too invested in the situation or whatever. And so it's crazy because like I'm entitled to knowing your worth, right? And so like I just kind of got really confirmed, really set in my identity, really understanding that. But it's like, that's kind of like the foundation, like who you are in Christ, that's your foundation. And everything else you kind of got to like pull from that, So like, that was like the starting point, but I thought that was the end. Like I thought, okay, once I get that, I'm good. It's like, no, there's more to that, because then you build on top of that. So the thing is, it's like, when they said that, you're too involved or whatever, I really had to take a step back and really like evaluate some things. Like, okay, like I realized like I'm doing a lot. I'm doing like I'm doing more than being asked or whatever, and not necessarily it's always been like a great thing. Like not always like super, like I'm solid, right? But I'm not like great at everything I do, which is hard for me to like even say, because like I'm a liar. I should be good. I'm like great at everything, but I'm not really. But the thing is like what I realized is like, oh, the reason why you're putting all this extra work on yourself, the reason why you're doing all this extra stuff is because you're literally trying to prove your worth. You're trying to prove that you belong here. You're trying to prove that, they didn't make a mistake. You're trying to prove that, you can do these things, that you're capable. Because all these other times and other instances where I felt like either I was overlooked, I felt like I was like people didn't like think about like, oh, she's smart, or they didn't think like I wouldn't be the first person they would think. It was always somebody else who was smarter, or who they would think would be able to be more capable of doing something or able to do something. So I always felt like not necessarily left out, but just like overlooked. And like even like from previous like organizations I've been a part of, it's just like I know what I'm capable of. Like I know like I'm pretty solid on some stuff. Like I know I can do things. There are things like I have really good strengths. Like I'm really good at organizing. I'm really good at like planning. I'm really good at a lot of different things. And so for me to be in a situation where I'm literally like never even asked, it's never even a consideration to like for me to even do anything, it's like, dang, that's kind of messed up. And even when I like, because I'm not the type to just wait around for somebody to ask me to do something. Even when I volunteer to do stuff, like you say you need help, I'm volunteering to help. I'm awesome. I can do this stuff. Like I can do this. And then you never get a call back. And so it's like all this stuff kind of piled up over the years. Like this is like years and years and years of me feeling like, that I was left behind, or like I wasn't being noticed, or like what I could do wasn't really being paid attention to. So like this is years of stuff now where I'm in a position where people are like, I'm being used, I'm able to like be a part of these meetings that are important and like make decisions and plan things. Now I'm going overboard because I'm trying to still prove, not even to the other people, because I don't even hang around those people anymore, but like almost proving to myself that, hey, I belong here. And like it's crazy because the thing is, it's like, particularly if you're working in like ministry, but really anything you do, it's like, what is your motive? Like your motive is to work onto the Lord. Like literally, that's what it is. That's where your mind should be. It's not even for your boss. It's not for the paycheck. It's not for anything, but you should work as unto the Lord. So you're doing this for God, and that's where your motive should be. And like my motive literally was to prove everybody else wrong, or to prove that I was here, or that I should be here, or to prove my worth, when God never needed me to do that anyway. Like literally, God like created me because he loved me, and like he put all these things in me. And so it's like, if God made me who I am right now, there's nothing for me to prove. God already knows it. Like if my sole purpose is to work onto him, well, he created me, so he already knows everything about me. He already knows all the great things that I can do. There's nothing to prove. But if I'm working as unto man, then there's something for me to prove, because now they don't know all these things about me. So I'm constantly have to keep going harder, pushing, doing even more, learning more, doing other stuff that I didn't necessarily need to do because of the fact that they didn't know I could do it in the first place. Crazy, right? So like literally I've been operating out of this whole I need to prove myself mindset. And so over the last couple of days, that's something I really been taking, like I really took a step back. I'm like, okay, where did all this come from? And I kind of like identified like key areas in my life where this was this and this was this, and at this point this happened. And so now this is why I feel like I have to prove myself. So now the next part of this is like, okay, so you understand this, like you recognize it. And this is like something you can do, like anything that's going on in your life, like, or any type of situation, like evaluate what, like you got to figure out what the root of it is. Like what is like, because you might be like jealous of somebody, you might be angry with somebody or whatever, but like usually that's just the fruit of the situation. There's a root of bitterness, to be exact, for jealousy and for anger. The root of those is bitterness. So something happened and bitterness took root. And so because bitterness took root, it created a plant of jealousy, created a plant of envy, created this plant of wrath and all this other stuff that comes with it. So you have to go back to that root. Okay, how was this established? What happened? And then usually there's some type of forgiveness. You really just got to forgive, because that's how you get rid of that root of bitterness. You got to release it. And the only way you can release it is by forgiving the people who affected you, or the situations, or forgiving yourself. It's crazy because like my church, we're doing this fast right now where we're talking about forgiveness. And the message on Sunday was on forgiveness, how you got to release stuff. But for real, it's like, if you don't release these things, you're going to be holding on to these things, and like it's going to cause you to operate and out of a place that's not good, And so like literally I was operating out of this place where I felt like I had to prove myself. But it's only because I had like all these situations where I never really forgave the people. Like, because the thing was, it's like I never had to prove myself in the first place. So I've basically been looking at that over the last couple of days. And so then I was the next part of it is like, okay, I identified the root. I forgive the people, like, for whatever it was, for being overlooked, for them overlooking me. Because at the end of the day, they're human. They have other stuff going on. And, like, if they overlook me, even if I did volunteer, it doesn't even matter at this point. It doesn't even matter. So, like, then, like, after forgiveness, it's like, okay, just like with any other, like, if you're going through inner healing, you have to now, you have to change your mindset. You have to change your behaviors. You have to change your habits. So, like, particularly if you've been doing something, you've been in something for a really long time, like, the thing is, it's like sometimes we don't even recognize, like, we'll be delivered from a situation. Like, those things won't affect us. We will forgive the people, like, all that bitterness will be gone. But the thing is, you've been acting a certain way towards this person or towards this situation or in this situation for so long that it's habit, it's second nature. And so now you have to recognize, okay, what are the patterns, what are the thoughts that I had, was the mindset, what are the actions that I do that was a result of all this bitterness, or a result of this one thing that I just got rid of. And now you have to change it. So that's where I am right now. I'm in the process of, like, okay, recognizing, okay, you were just doing that, not because you necessarily needed to be doing it, but because you were trying to prove yourself. Or no, this one particular thing you're doing, that's actually like what they need you to do. So you just keep on doing that, but all this other stuff, you don't gotta do that anymore, because you don't you're not in that place of trying to prove yourself. Just like I've told you guys plenty of times, like, I used to struggle with anxiety. I had really bad anxiety. One of the things I used to do is I used to practice everything I would say. Like, I repeat it over and over and over and over again. And so, like, I had to get out of the habit of that. So, like, the thing was, I've been doing it for so long, it was just natural for me to just go over it over and over and over in my head. So then I had to, once I was delivered from anxiety, it was like, oh, now I don't need to keep doing that, because there's no point in being delivered from. If you're delivered for something, don't go back to it. Don't keep behaving in a way that makes it seem like you're still in that thing. You have to change your behavior. You have to change your mind. So, like, then I had to stop myself. Like, I used to say things like, because I would recognize when, like, a certain situation would give me anxiety, and so I would literally think to myself, oh, I can't do that because that's gonna give me anxiety. Oh, that's gonna give me anxiety. Well, I got anxiety, so I can't do that. So once I got delivered, I had to stop saying those things, because the line no longer has anxiety. I didn't have anxiety anymore. So, like, oh, wait, no, it won't. I don't have anxiety. And so I had to change the way I was thinking. I had been saying that for so long, it was second nature for me just to call out things that would normally give me anxiety. But once I didn't have anxiety anymore, it's like, oh, wait, no, actually I can do this. And it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. So, like, that's where I am with this whole self-worth thing. Like, I'm really recognizing the things that I used to do that was only because I didn't, understand my worth in God. And so that's kind of where I am. So that's where I've been. That's where I've been the last couple of days. So I'm really excited to see, what comes of this. Like, what's the fruit of this, all of this, I'm really excited to see. And then where I end up going. Because the thing is about all of this is like, okay, I'll spend so much time working on things that I really didn't need to be working on. What could God have been doing through me, So I'm excited to see that. Tomorrow, I'm really excited. I'm going to a conference. It's going to be really cool. It's actually a 2-day conference. And so I'll probably end up telling you guys about it on Sunday. But I'm in expectation. I feel like a lot of things have lined up where I'm just, like, open and ready to really see, like, whatever God has next for me. So I'm, like, really excited about that. And I feel like this is going to, I'm like, whenever you're in a situation where you're in expectation, you're expecting God to move, you're expecting God to hear from God, God's going to show up and he's going to blow your mind, because he's not going to just leave you hanging like that. So, like, expect by, like, it might be Saturday night, but at least Sunday, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell y'all all about this conference in the next couple of days. So I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, again, my next class is next Thursday, the 31st, 7:30. I'm going to go live. We're going to talk about different diets. So if you want, if there's anything specific you want to talk about, you can comment on that post, or you can, like, leave me a message or whatever. But I'll be talking about a bunch of different diets. So I hope you guys can come and check me out there. So I'll talk to you guys in, like, the next couple of days or so.